On Skype, and I'm going to hit we're recording on OBS Studio also, though that was coming through a little strange. So anyway, we're going to start in 3, 2, 1. Good evening. This is Animal Uncontrol. Welcome to the voice chat. Tonight, we have B.A.D, or Ban All Dogs. How you been, pal?
I'm all right, man.
Good.
Thanks. How are you?
Good. Oh, man, never better. I'm just living the dream.
That's good. That's good.
Just living the dream. So, yeah, I have 2 recordings going. Yeah, thanks for joining. This is sort of an experimental segment because the Discord chats left a lot to be desired, particularly for audio quality and the sharing. It wasn't the greatest. Discord is good for the text chats and maybe sharing files, photos and the like, but for this kind of thing, leaves something to be desired. So anyway, so I have 2 recordings running, so I may upload some or all this to YouTube depending on how it comes out. So like I said, so how are your next door neighbors? Have they cleaned up their act, or is it just same old?
It's the same old. She had one of those mutt shit pals over, cleaned her yard the other day. And guess they're doing it like every week so far.
I mean, but the thing is, they just keep scraping off the top level of soil. Won't they be down to bedrock or the core of the earth at some point?
I mean, they're really not cleaning anything. They're just picking up little logs of it. It leaves behind plenty.
Scraping off the muck.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
And when the guy came over, her dogs were out there and they're just going batshit crazy, right? And she steps out to talk to him, and she kept going, "I know, I love you too," while they're trying to jump up at her and going crazy. She kept saying that. "I know, I love you too." She wouldn't say, shut up, get in the house, or get him in the house. She's like, "I love you too, I love you too." I was like, what did throw up? What the hell is the matter with her?
Dog saying, "I want to eat you too."
Yeah.
I want a big chunk out of you.
Yeah, kept jumping up at her face. She's jerking it back, "I know, I love you too. I know. Ugh. And she's like, "Go get your bunny. Come on, let's go.
Go get your bunny." Is that a live bunny
covered. Shit covered stuffed animal? It's like, yeah, get that. Bring in the house. Ugh.
Well, probably everything is shit covered at this point. I'm sure the inside of that house is just terrible. It looks like Alien tried to log in but dropped off. So anyway, yeah. So do you think your boy, does he need some kind of reconstructive surgery for that dog bite injury, or
no? Stitches took care of it. I mean, it was they called it a nip, but
it's always
enough to go to the ER with blood and everything and stitches.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's an injury like that is sufficient to trigger a dog bite lawsuit. They say if it typically say, well, how bad does it have to be to trigger something like that? If you go to, folks, if you Google Ken Phillips, he's a dog bite attorney in California, and tell you that if a dog attacks you and if blood is shed or a bone is broken, you have a case.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
you have a case.
Kid's mother's brother. That won't look good.
Well,
I mean, if it was way worse, then of course. But I mean, nip is the most I'm going to take from it.
It's subjective. So Alien got in. Can you hear me?
Hello?
You there?
Yeah.
Okay, you can hear us. Yeah, we're just experimenting with this Skype call. So, all right. So how have you been? What's up on your end? Did I lose you?
Hello.
I think I lost him. No, you're still here. All right. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started. So I have a couple of talking points. One of them relates to outrage porn, and the other one is a political discussion. So what do you think we should start with?
Let's go with the outrage porn.
I was going to say, yeah, you can't go wrong with outrage porn. Outrage porn is always good. So here's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to play around with this a little bit. I'm still messing around here. So I'm going to do a screen share, and I'm going to share, is it the, no, I don't want, that's a political discussion. I want to go here. I want to share this. Oh, this is good. Oh man, you're gonna go to bed angry tonight. Oh
God.
This is so good.
Different than any other night.
This is the best. Hold on. All right, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to share. Hold on. I'm going to restart the share. And this goes back to, this was a, let's see. Okay, this one. I mentioned this the other week. Why is my screen share not coming up?
The gray box came up. Nothing on it yet,
though. Gray box came up. Can you see this?
Not yet. Oh, no, I can, yeah.
From dogsbite.org?
Yep.
Okay, you can see it. Okay. I spoke about this the other week because, we've been, and many folks have been talking about Jacqueline Durand, the pet sitter that was horribly mauled by a customer's dogs. So this, it's interesting. Why do I not see the share? So you can see this, it says 2021 dog bite fatality. You can see that on the screen.
Yep.
Okay. So this was a case where couple of folks, it was actually these two. This, can you see this here? Because I'm on Reddit now. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Takes a village to support a child killer's pit bull. Okay, so Jayden Henderson, her mother had got a job looking after, basically taking care of, pet sitting some neighbors' pit bulls, right? Mm-hmm. So they go to take care of the dogs. A long story short, they went to take care of the dogs, and they, of course, they killed a kid, sent the mom to the hospital. They're actually, they're rescued, but I guess he was only able to save the mother. Saved the life of the mom. It was a off-duty cop, was one of the neighbors. So we can go through this real quick. So, and this was a really long, drawn-out case. And this gets into, a lot of folks have been talking about the narcissistic tendencies of a lot of dog owners. Now, I think if narcissism were an Olympic event, I think these dog owners would get the gold. They're like really bad. These two, we get into this, talk about like outrage porn. These two are really bad. So we get into, and this just goes on and on and on here. Oh, and these two, you see these two dogs here? These two murder mutts. And one of them was actually a, quote, a service dog.
Yeah, because of the vest.
Yeah, the vest, yeah. Well, basically it's a service dog because the owner said it was, because that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you could go to the pound today, adopt a pit bull, and take it to Outback Steakhouse. You just got to answer the two questions. Yes, it's a service dog required because of a disability. And the task it's trained to perform is to delete little kids, right? Because that's the other thing is there's no there's no standards for or limits on what type of tasks are legit. So it could be anything. You know, it could be to rip the bumper off that cop car over there. So anyway, so what do we got? Go all the way down here. So this is Jayden with her mother. She died in the attack. So it's the 7-year-old girl died from injuries she sustained by her neighbor's 2 pit bulls. Her mother remains hospitalized. This was April 20th. This is almost 2 years ago. The mother endured caring for her neighbor's 2 pit bulls while the owner was out of town. Okay. The multi-victim attack occurred after 6 p.m. in the dog's backyard. Okay. So let's see, the pair of neighbors who helped care for the dog's 2 pit bulls while the owners were out of town. Incident occurred in the owner's backyard. Of course, this goes back to talk about basically the owners, booby trapped their backyard. It's like, hey, you plant a bunch of landmines and then say, hey, could you come over and like water the plants? And they get blown up. It's like, gee, how did that happen? I couldn't have foreseen that.
I would rather go into a landmine-filled backyard.
Exactly. Well, probably, yeah. So anyway, so the little girl died, and the mom was sent to the hospital. So, but of course, predictably, so these are the 2 pit bulls. It's kind of when these dogbite.org articles, it flows from the bottom up. So. And of course, there's a bullet list here of all these shelter dog inflicted deaths. So there were 2 dogs. I said that we were confirmed 2 pit bulls. Each dog has its own Instagram account. Well, la-di-da. The family adopted Athena in December 2019. And she appears to be a fight-busted dog, meaning she was seized from a dog fighting operation.
We really need to know the dogs' names. I mean, that pisses me off every time.
Well, you need to tell them apart. I mean, usually I just call them Fido and Rover because you need to identify them somehow. You could call them 1 and 2 or whatever. So, because you need to identify them somehow. It's like, well,
how about the brown one with white stripe on it, the black one with,
shit beast A, shit beast B.
Yeah.
So anyway, Athena is seen wearing an emotional support animal vest. And Blitzen was the other one.
Oh my God.
Seen wearing a service dog vest. Okay, most of the posts have hashtags like Pit Bulls of Instagram, don't bully my breed, a service dog. Again, what's the service is to like, delete the pet sitter. Is that the service the dog has been trained to perform? Fur child and pity nation.
Oh God, yeah, pity. I pity you.
One photo showed Athena still in her shelter kennel, characterized by blah, blah, blah. And this is like Pit Bull Adoption Special, WCAC. And I think the mom worked for this TV station too. Joins a growing number of taxpayer-funded shelters in whole or part since 2014 that have adopted out or transferred a dog to a rescue that killed a person. Our list does not include dogs placed by fosters or rehomings. Okay, so furthermore, the agency that adopted this dog out is now holding in its bite quarantine. So the agency that adopted the murder mutts out is now holding the dog or the dogs, right? So that the Wake County falsely claimed that 70% of fatal dog attack victims are children. Actual percentage less than 50%. To obfuscate the dogs that inflict human killing aggression and dogs that inflict garden variety dog bites. Federico also stated, this is good, all dogs have teeth and they can all bite.
Oh.
Well,
no shit.
You don't say, like, gee, I could have been fooled. So these are the fur parents. This is Joseph White on the left, and the two of them, this is Amanda and Joseph on the right.
Trash.
So now, of course, the whole neighborhood, so after this happened, the whole neighborhood is in an uproar. And I guess I assume there'd been other complaints about them. So now we go, neighbors petition. So now we'd identified the pit bull owners. Prior to the multi-victim attack, the Whites had displayed these dogs on social media wearing fake emotional support animal and service dog vests. The thing is, it's like, it's strange they call it, of course, I mean, they're all fake, but they're all fake and they're all real because the Whites said their dogs are legit. So I guess their dogs are legit. The federal government. Into it. Sorry, say it again.
Let's not bring race into it.
Yeah.
Joking.
Well, that's their name. It's the Whites. I mean, okay, they could have been called like the Greens or something, but their name is the Whites. I don't know. I don't think
I got to keep humor going, otherwise I will get out.
Yeah, no, I hear you totally. Each dog had its own Instagram page for its fan base. Neither dog, however, had many fans. I find that strange. I guess that the 2010s was the decade of the celebrity mauler because Mick the Mauler had over 75,000 likes on his page. So top that. But anyway, the Fight Bus dog was following 109 people, but only 102 followed back. Blitzen was followed 120. Yeah, blah, 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 this stuff. So anyway, Athena is an emotional service animal to plaintiff. So now this is in the court system because what happened was the dogs were impounded and were scheduled to be euthanized, but the owners petitioned to save them. Okay. So of course,
and their fans jumped on board.
So yeah, here's a section of the pleading. Athena is an emotional service animal to plaintiff Joseph White, who is a United States Marine Corps combat veteran and sustained PTSD as a result of military service. Blitzen is a service animal for Amanda White, and Amanda has owned Blitzen since his birth. He's approximately 8 years old. So basically, you've got these two, murder mutts. I guess somehow they both made it to service animal status somehow. That even dogs that or dog breeds that are suited to that kind of work, approximately 50 to 70% of them wash out. And these are pit bulls. What's the probability that these two have actually been trained to do anything useful? I think it's pretty low. So
zero,
yeah. Blitzen received PTSD training and attended 22 days of obedience school. Look at all the resources that are
that worked, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it worked like a charm. So Athena was adopted and is approximately 4 years old, owned, blah, 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 for a brief period. So including the plaintiffs went on a trip to San Diego. Okay. The plaintiffs arranged to have Amanda White's parents care for their dogs, but it wasn't. They had these other two do it. So now this is in the court system. So on June 29th, which is now 2 months later, the owners of two pit bulls that attacked and killed 7-year-old Jayden and critically injured her mother filed a lawsuit against the town of Garner these are the owners, to stop the euthanasia of the involved dogs, which is set for July 3. Today, the judge placed the euthanasia date on hold until July 8th, allowing the owners to have a preliminary injunction hearing to contest the town's euthanasia order. So the attorneys for the parents filed a motion to intervene in the case between Whites and the town. This recent update in the case supplied affidavits filed by Heather and Dave, both parents, that the attack, I learned that the dogs had a history, here it is, a history of aggressive, dangerous, and hostile behavior. Well, who'd have thunk it? We were not aware of this history before the attack. So yeah, they have a rap sheet. This is so typical. You know, this isn't they're repeat offenders, and the more the offenses repeat, the worse the outcome gets. You know, in other words, there were at so many points this could have been prevented. So if we go up and so now we're at the injunction hearing. Yeah, the victims, I want to get to the judge. Okay, so it was delayed. Franklin County responds. Look at all this lawfare over a couple of worthless mutts. It's too bad they weren't just killed on the spot. But yeah, presented, failing tree. You could go into this. Oh, look at this. Here's the two, murder mutts in their, training, So supposedly this is a service animal.
Look how hard they're trying with the captions.
Yeah, it's like, but now it's like they have. I mean, these speech bubbles were added later, but the dog is a service dog. It's got a shock collar on.
Okay.
So,
and
okay, yeah, it's got a shock collar on.
We're not supposed to walk by and it doesn't bark, so that's how we don't know they're vicious,
So the outcome, but even we get through this is not the beginning of the end. This is the end of the beginning. This is like keeps getting better. This is a gift that keeps on giving. So any case, on Friday, the judge, Vince Razier, ruled that the town of Garner can determine the fate of two pit bulls that killed the 7-year-old. Okay. So basically saying that the town can proceed with the euthanasia, basically, right? So then he says, this has gone farther than it should have. Gee, you don't say. Judge Rozier said to the parents, I'm sorry you've had to endure this. Just minutes after the judge's ruling, Chief of Police said the dogs would be euthanized Monday. So the owners declined to speak to the TV station. Now, this is good. This gets back to, the topic is the extreme narcissism of dog owners. Judge Razier also stated, it's not appropriate probably as a judge to call someone selfish, but after 15 years of being a judge, this is the most self-focused case I have ever seen in my life, referring to the owners of the dogs. And I don't understand it. Well, we understand it because this case is about Jayden Henderson when it comes down to it. Judge Rozier reiterated that there has always been a common sense solution to this case, and I based my decision on the rule of law. So this guy's been a judge for 15 years, and he said, I have never seen a pair of assholes like you two.
Nice. Yeah.
I mean, that's how bad these people are. Now this So this was, so finally after, so the mauling was in April. The dogs were after, so you got May, June, July, August, September. After 5 months of due process, the murder mutts are finally put down. Now, note that, like, no charges were filed against the owners. They got off, at least in a criminal sense, scot-free. I believe the parents have filed a civil case.
Yeah,
but
as they should.
This goes on. Like, this isn't over, right? So
they got more shitballs, didn't they?
Yeah, so starting, I saw this on this is a really good Reddit. Can you see this? Pet rescue exposed.
Yeah.
Okay. So I saw this the other day, and this, rang a bell. So it takes a village to support a child killer's pit bull rescue hobby. The continuing rescue foster career of Joseph Warner White and Amanda White. So this is related to the Jayden Henderson killing in 21. Forever Bully Love Rescue and other rescuers. So these two are, well, I remember from the original case that even though their dogs were put down, they just went out and got more pit bulls.
Mm-hmm.
They just went out and got more pit bulls.
Of course they did.
But this gets better. So these are, so now the Whites they have their own pit bull rescue. They're now rescuing pit bulls. So they have pit bulls again, and they've been dealing with all these various rescue pit bull groups. Particularly this first one, Charlie's a Canine Rescue. Sold, again, it says sold. I mean, I know often there's an adoption fee, but so they're like buying more pit bulls. So Charlie's Canine Rescue sold 2 rescue pit bulls to the Whites. And then you have all these other organizations. So, and this reiterates the case. So, she was helping her mom dog sit 2 rescue pit bulls. This is in April 21. Belonging to Joseph and Amanda White, the dogs attacked and killed Jayden and mauled her mother when she tried to save her. The Whites, of course, and I know everybody's going to find this surprising, the Whites blamed the child and her mother for the killing.
My God, man.
Of course they did. It requested the town allow them to keep the dogs, and when that failed, forced the issue to court. The judge ruled against them. That's what we just discussed. And the 2 dogs, Blitz and Athena, I thought it was Blitzen. Blitz.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, were euthanized by the town. At every stage of the tragedy, the Whites expressed no regret over what their dogs had done.
Wow.
No remorse or guilt over their role in the child's brutal death, and repeatedly expressed, this is where it gets, and repeatedly expressed anger and impatience at being denied ownership of their dangerous dogs. They continue to express via social media the same anger and self-centered pain at being deprived of their pets. Oh, boo-hoo.
Cry about it.
Yeah,
how
can I go on? Yeah. So this is, I don't know, this is probably kind of small. So this is from the Fur Mommy on Instagram in 2022. Oops, what did I just do? Let me get out of that. Whoops. How do I get out of here? I don't want to go there. Okay, so you can see this. This is the Fur Mommy on the left here with the 2 murder mutts. I'm going to try to zoom in. This is kind of small. So September 13th, 2021, because I guess that was the day that the government, snuffed the 2 murder mutts, is a day that will forever sit heavy in my heart. 1 year ago today, my baby's lives were taken away.
Yeah, your baby's lives. Okay.
Yeah, I love you, Blitzen and Athena.
Oh,
And I hope you are both proud of me and the work
what?
I am doing here. Because,
Oh my
she,
God.
fur
Mental
mommy and
illness.
daddy, well,
That's
because fur
narcissism.
mommy and daddy have now started a pit bull rescue. So they're now harboring even more murder mutts. Okay.
God.
So I, I do this in your memory, and I can't wait to hold you both again. Love, fur, get it, fur, ever your mommy.
Yeah, very good.
And it's like, okay, if you need to go throw up, we can take a break if you need to. Herbs,
I'm dry heaving. It's starting.
I know. Okay. So then there's other, like, Pit Nutter writes, their lives and their love had a ripple effect. They will continue to circle the. Listen to this. They had a ripple effect that will continue to circle the globe for decades to come. P.S. They are right by your side if you close your eyes. Oh my God. So that was a sympathetic by Mike. This Mike Eurozone, he's extremely active in pit bull rescue in the New York area. So this is a fur daddy with the new fur kids. Okay. So now they have more pit bulls. So I know that's like everybody's, oh, thank God. I mean, thank dog. They have more pit bulls. So it says, Happy Father's Day to fur dads too.
Ugh.
I spent the whole day today with Luna and Harley. These two are the best part of every day. My dogs are both rescues and did not have the best life before me. So, well, of course, what? They didn't have like young kids to eat. Was that what they were deprived of? I guess. Look, not a toddler or house cat in sight. What's a dog to do?
Yeah.
So I want to be sure they know nothing but love and receive the same in companionship and loyalty. Look at all these hashtags: Father's Day, Pitbull, Fur Dad.
Attention. Starving attention from these
people. They
people.
should create a hashtag like eat toddlers, So anyway, after the fatal attack in 2021, the whites relocated in hopes of being permitted to keep the dogs if they left the neighborhood. So they're thinking if they moved, and this happens a lot because often what happens is when it goes, when this litigates, the judge will order the dogs removed from the jurisdiction, which is stupid because you're just dumping the problem in somebody else's lap. So they'll say, okay, they have to leave the county or whatever the jurisdiction is. So that's what they were thinking. They say, okay, we leave, then we've got a home. We can get the dogs back outside of town, right? So of course that didn't work out because the dogs were got the hot shot anyway. They got a nice dose of the pink juice. So anyway, they left the neighborhood. Once the dogs were dead, they acquired 2 more rescue pit bulls, Luna and Harley. This is why the names are important, because we got all these dogs and to keep them straight, right? So you got a scorecard. So I guess it was Athena and Blitz were the murder mutts. The government killed them, so now they have Luna and Harley, the new murder mutts. So then it asks, like, that's what this article is getting into. What sort of shelter or rescue would adopt out to these people? Well, because remember, these are people who harbored murder mutts. They literally killed a kid with their dogs. You'd think that rescues or animal shelters wouldn't want to deal with them, but no, they got it from this Charlie's Canine Rescue. So Anyway, so they got this larger, more rural property to begin fostering more pit bulls. So they get into, so now they're getting into, you know, how they're going to harbor them. So they got like an outbuilding. Basically, they have a guest cottage set up for the rescue pit bulls. Hopefully this weekend we'll be running power to the outbuilding for the air conditioning and heat unit, then transforming it into kennels with dog doors to each dog's own yard area. We're doing this because we want all the dogs, LOL.
LOL.
No, but for real though, it is so we can foster more homeless dogs for some. You know, it's another one of these dog nutter, endless run on like what is it? Stream of consciousness communiques here. So, come your favorite, keep up with our page to see this pink building transform to a tiny house made for fur kings and queens.
Oh, God, they've never stopped, do they?
Yeah, they don't. They just never. That's why people like this belong in prison, because they're just endangering more people by doing what they're doing. Like, the society needs a break from their behavior. And that's the other thing too, is that people like this create a demand for these murder mutts, for dogs that are not only bred to attack but trained for it also. Because at least the one murder mutt, the Athena, she was a fight bust dog. Okay, and I think no matter how
scars on it.
Yeah, no matter how you look at it, yeah, does it have? Yeah, I don't know if that's the best.
No, I think the ones that you showed with just the two dogs. The one like on the left had scars on it.
That was the where was that one? Yeah,
they're in the vests.
Yeah, we can.
Not that one. The other one
have scars. Let's go down a little further.
It was that very first picture you showed.
Well, there's this one.
But they're in there.
Oh,
yeah, that one right there.
These two. Yeah, the one on the left has. Yeah, this one's got scars. So this dog is definitely. This is definitely a fight dog on the left. But I think, you know, no matter where you are on this debate, because people argue, you know, it's the genetics, it's the training, or some combination of both, perhaps. But I think no matter where you are in that spectrum, a fight bust dog is a fail, period. Like there's nothing good is going to come out of that. It's interesting too, because a while back, I was doing some due diligence on this and talking about, maybe we'll sort of transition to this a little later, but I was reading a white paper written by a bunch of dog experts, you know, veterinarians and the like, from 1982. And this was before the whole crazy train had got up to full speed. And the recommendation was that all fight bust dogs, this dog fighting had been banned nationwide at that point, all fight bust dogs be summarily euthanized. They're not, they can't be house pets. They're not safe to have in the community. And yeah, these were like supposedly dog people making this recommendation. On the right, we have the service dog with a shock collar. And on the left, we have the fight bust dog. So where were we? So you were back here. So yeah, Fur Mommy is forever devastated that the murder mutts got put down. Fur Daddy is celebrating Father's Day with a new murder mutts. And this is the new murder mutt plantation. What do you want to bet, though, that, you know, they may start breeding these things?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why there's it seems like they named it a boy's name and a girl's name, you know, so yeah, they're definitely going to breed them.
Yep.
I know for a fact. Look at the size of that yard. they're gonna have little shit bulls running around everywhere.
Yeah,
and
so this is their
yard is gonna turn into one pile of dog shit.
Well, they got a lot of land back here, though, But I guess it depends. If they get a few dozen of them. Yeah, they'll just like destroy this yard.
Oh yeah,
here on the left. But what was the other? Oh yeah, so this is the name of their organization, Forever Bully Love Rescue. So these two get a kid killed and move on to this level of success. So yeah, this is Joseph White with 2 foster pit bulls. Less than 1 year after his own pit bulls mauled a child to death. So, and look at these two. It's like, what's going on with that dog on the left there? There's something wrong with that thing. Something's really messed up there. So
the name he put it, like bully, with this anti-bully culture, then he names it that, it's like, you know what I mean? And after having 2 mutts that killed a child, and then he names shit like that. It is a level of narcissism and mental illness.
Yeah, I mean,
these are people we need to really watch out for too.
These two, that's why, these two belong in jail, because with the Jayden Henderson incident, I mean, literally what they did was they booby-trapped their property, invited people over. Somebody was killed, somebody was injured. If it was done any other way, they'd be in prison. There would be none of this, none of it. They would be in the Gray Bar Hotel, both of them.
Dogs getting a free pass.
But they did it with a dog, so they get a free pass. Yep.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Dogs were fortunately put down, as they should have never been born in the first place. But yeah, they got away free. They got away with it.
Yep. Well, they're dog people. They can do no wrong. How do I shrink? That looks good. So and probably we haven't heard the last of them. They're kind of like Jennifer Romano. Even when I got back into this space a year and change ago, I read something about how one of Jennifer Romano's dogs took her fake service pit bull to a restaurant and attacked a kid. But I was read the name, like, I know that name because I'd blogged about her before, because she's been doing stuff like this for over a decade. Basically, bringing dangerous dogs into the community and getting people injured. I don't know if any of Jennifer's dogs had actually killed anyone, but
playing mutation roulette.
Yeah, mutation roulette. But that's the other thing too, is that death is not the only bad outcome. Because you look at this, go back to the victims here. This, where is that? Yuck. Yeah, this poor woman was badly injured in both, because these are Jayden's parents. And you know what a devastating loss that is for them? I mean, it's just
unthinkable, unfathomable.
It is. It's just awful. It's just awful. And to lose your kids.
And these pit bull parents were crying about it, and
they're crying about their babies.
Speaking to their dead dogs, hope you're proud of me, and all the get the hell out of here. Yep. What about these parents with the child? No consideration, very selfish and disgusting.
All right. So anyway, the unrestrained. I really like what the judge said also. Yeah. So go with this again. It's like, after 15 years of being a judge, this is the most self-focused case I have ever seen in my life.
Shout out to that guy.
Yeah.
He calls them assholes. Yeah. He didn't call them assholes.
Yeah.
I love it.
He's like, after 15 years of being a judge, like, you're the 2 biggest assholes I've ever encountered. Like, if there was an asshole
thing.
If there was an asshole Olympics, like, you 2 would get the gold. Oh man. Hey, looks like Alien, you there? Can you hear us?
Yes.
You can. Okay. Have you been following?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Just trying to figure out Skype.
Yeah,
I think I got it now.
It's all a learning curve. You know, I got into this space, and I'm very technically adept in some ways, but this media stuff, I have no clue what I'm doing. So we're just experimenting here. I actually have 2 recordings going. I'm recording the Skype call, and I'm also I have an OBS studio recording going also. So hopefully between those 2, we'll we'll have some good results. So so what do you think? I don't know how much have you of this you've been following. What do you think? Because we were talking the other day about dog owners being narcissists, and these 2 clowns are really good examples of that. Oh, are they on here? Yeah, these 2, the fur mommy and the fur daddy.
Well, I think we could look at the sociology angle here. The thing is, you're always going to have an underclass because you're always going to have a bell curve, and I think we talked about this a little bit.
Yep.
You're always going to have a bell curve, and there's going to be a left hand of the bell curve, and not everyone on the left hand side of the bell curve is going to be part of the underclass. But the underclass is going to be filled mostly with people from the left-hand side of the bell curve.
Yep.
And so this is what we have here. You've got people who are on the left-hand side, not super stupid, but just smart enough to be criminal. And we've got a lot of sympathetic people, I guess, in this country who are not willing to outlaw this kind of thing.
Yep.
This whole rescue thing. This whole rescue thing is very attractive to underclass criminals, and we need to talk about it. And that's one thing that we can do. If people are wondering what they can do, just keep talking about it. Spread the word that this is something that's attractive to underclass criminals, and they're going to start these dog rescue things like these 2 are doing here.
It's like a fake redemption for really bad people, you know, really horrible
that's
people.
The thing is because they're promoting themselves as being, well, a couple of things, you know, as victims. You know, they were crushed because the government killed their dogs. You know, those
they're the victims,
Nazi fascists, and as being virtuous for, you know, rescuing these things.
Yeah, it's virtue signaling. But there's some bad math going on here too, because you know, they're implying you've got all of these pit bulls, and you've got, like, you know, whatever, 1 million of them being killed every year, as if you're going to be able to do something about that with dog rescue without quickly running into number limits of how many people can adopt these things, unless people are just going to adopt unlimited amounts of them.
Yeah, it's always like a housing bubble, you know, like remember back in the 2000s, and everybody thought, like, you know, housing prices were just going to skyrocket forever. And even I asked, I said, well, when does this end? When everybody has 20 empty houses? Is that the end game here? So yeah, what's the end game here? Yeah, everybody has literally an unlimited number of pit bulls. Because there's no demand side solution for this, but these people are providing some demand. Because like if these people didn't exist, or if they were put away someplace, like if we reopened Alcatraz and deposited them there, there'd be, you know, less, you know, well, really, you know, the euthanasia rate would go up, but you know, there'd be fewer of these things in communities. So but
the thing is too, these people moved out to a rural area by themselves, right, in the country, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
This pit bull shop that they opened up, Good, man. Go somewhere in the middle of nowhere where there's no people and do your own dog shit thing. You know, keep it away from people. You know,
Yeah.
that's a start, actually.
Yeah, well,
Keep it
yeah,
away
I mean,
from population.
I agree, I guess, but they're not far enough away. And I wonder what their goal is. Are they going to try to, recycle some of these?
Yeah, I think it's for money. They're gonna breed them and sell them. You know,
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
Well, they won't sell them. They'll be like, quote,
Oh,
adoption fees.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, adoption. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to keep an eye on these people.
You have a YouTube channel?
These two?
Yeah.
They have Instagram. Actually, the dogs actually had their own Instagram pages.
Yeah.
But you could, try to find them. But we haven't heard the last from these two because something else really bad is going to come out of this. It might happen tomorrow or in 5 years.
They'll be eaten alive by their dogs. Eventually.
Yeah, well, that could happen too. One of them
or
could
then
be killed.
Yeah.
Although it's funny because you know what? Now they're in the middle of nowhere. Tragedies are easier to cover up. So I'll bet you if the dogs kill one of them or the other, what do you want to bet that the other, fur parent just buries the other quietly in the backyard?
Yeah. Yeah, and even if they want to get help, it's going to take a half an hour for anybody to show up, maybe probably more,
Yeah, but it wouldn't.
And they're going to blame the cops and the emergency response. Oh, you took too long. My husband died. It's like, it's your fault.
Yeah, okay. The dogs are trying to nanny him.
Yeah. Instead it deleted him.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting case. So what do you think, talk about people in the left hand of the bell curve, what do you think the IQ level is here? Interestingly, too, as you get into, we were talking about this a few times also, is how many of these dog foamers they have a very low maturity level, like a very low EQ, like emotional quotient. So do you think, though, that these two, what do you think the IQ level of these two is?
Well, I've read about this quite a bit, and like I said, criminals can't be too stupid. As you get actually farther left in the bell curve, you get less criminality. There's a sweet spot in IQ for criminality, and that's about IQ 85.
85, yeah.
If I recall correctly from reading the bell curve, which was a book from 1994, you've probably heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of that book. Yeah. So you think that these two, they're just smart enough to function in society at a very low level, but they're not smart enough to really. Well, here's the funny thing, though, is what's interesting about this is, and why it's different from other spaces, is that what they're doing, in a lot of ways is really not it's not criminal in the technical sense. Right. If you go back to what I said about booby trapping your property, right? So if I were to booby trap my home in such a way that a piano drops in the head of whoever walks through the front door, right? So I say, okay, I'm going away. Would you water my plants? So you're like, sure, fine. I give you a key. You come over, boom, killed. That's expressly illegal everywhere. It's a crime, right? In any way you do it, except this, because if you do it with a dog, it's technically legal. It's not a crime. I mean, it is, or it should be, but, given Fido's, sacred animal status, it isn't.
Right.
And you also wonder because you talk about low IQ criminals. I mean, typically you're talking about property crimes, or where they would get something material out of it, like stealing money or goods or whatever, or perhaps a sex crime. What do these two get out of this?
I would say that they're stealth criminals. What they're trying to do is commit crime while pretending that they're not.
Yeah.
They're doing things that they know are bad for society, that they know are going to harm other people, but they're maintaining the fiction that they're actually not committing crimes when they are.
Yep.
So I believe they are criminally motivated.
Yeah.
Oh
not. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
They're not committing, like you said, the obvious crimes like burglary or something like
Well,
that.
they're not stealing cars or robbing liquor stores or whatever. Yeah.
They also have a huge ego to feed, to themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of narcissism going on here with these two.
Oh yeah. Well, you read.
They get up on the attention of people on social media saying, "Oh, you're so great helping out these misunderstood animals," and they thrive off that attention, and they get off on it, and I think that's the only road they can go down by redeeming any fake redemption, is helping out these destructive, disgusting things, because they have nothing else to do. They have nothing else to offer but to appease to these disgusting people that are mutt lovers.
Yeah, they definitely get a dopamine hit by, with all the social media attention and things like that. You can see even some of the other, all the other, and it's sort of circular. It kind of feeds itself because all the other, pit bull rescue nuts, basically chime in and give them support. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a good thought though, because that's a good term, stealth criminal. Sorry, go ahead.
And you talked about the dopamine hit, which is something else that dovetails with the cult aspect that we were talking about. This is like a cult, but it's not a top-down cult, but it's a movement. And people join movements because they get a dopamine hit from it.
Yep. Yeah.
And they're always chasing that high. So that's why they're adopting more and more pit bulls. They're always chasing the original high that they got from joining the pit bull movement.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it goes back, like I've said for a while that, it is a cult. It's like a religion. I mean, technically it's not, because like you said too, it's not a top-down cult where you have a cult leader that's it's not like what was it, Jim Jones, and what was that? Where was that? Was it Jonestown?
People's cult. Jonestown.
Yeah, it's not like that. It's a leaderless cult, but it's the same kind of thing, or at least no leader has emerged yet. Maybe at some point one of them will. Somebody will be the Jim Jones or the L. Ron Hubbard or the Hitler of the dog cult. Yeah, interesting stuff. But that's the thing is that, our legal system, enables these people to do this. And it is, it's criminal, in the ethical sense, but that's the thing is, but, technically it isn't. Using your dog to kill people is legal most of the time. Yeah, what a shame that this case is, you get into this stuff and these cases. One of the reasons I got out of this space, back in 2017, give or take, was these cases weigh heavily on you, because, this, a lot of it too is, you can't bring the victim back to life. You can't undo what happened. But this little girl got no justice. None, right? Her murderers went on to just keep doing what they're doing. It's an outrage. Did you
continue? It is.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's that, and you walk out your door, and for example, today I walked out. I saw a little girl, couldn't have been more than 8, walking a pit bull by herself.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, what the fuck? You know, I can't tell you how ridiculous it is with all these stories going on. You see the stories, right? You look it up, you see it, and then you step out your door and you see it for yourself. You know, it's just like it's
Yep.
waiting to happen. And
Yep. And
there's
well, the thing is that, I was thinking about that today, like with a pit bull problem. Well, I mean, dogs generally, but the pit bull problem. But most pit bulls get, again, dumped back. We were talking the last time also, they get kicked back to the shelter because of behavior. And I think in most of the time it's because either they, delete another pet, a cat or a small dog, or they destroy property. So I guess the good thing is most people, like, unlike these two, because Alien's right, like, these two are criminals. They're sociopathic criminals.
Absolutely.
But most people who have these things probably aren't quite that bad. So when something, the first time or maybe second or third time, something bad happens, somebody's injured but not killed, or the dog tears a hole in the wall, it's gone, right? And that prevents any further harm from occurring. Because what I find is that these attacks escalate. It starts small and they work their way up. And if there's no intervention, you do have a really tragic outcome like this one. So,
I mean, people will buy dogs or adopt them, whatever, and then they'll get fleas. They'll start shitting all over the place, and they'll be like,
yep.
"Okay, we shouldn't have done this," and get rid of them.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that could be it too. They get rid of the dog while the offenses are still minor. Because that's a problem too. Is, one thing, driving all this is the, narrative, promoting dogs and dog ownership. They promote them as these, carefree, best friends.
Cartoon dogs with huge smiles on it, and wearing human clothes, and having jobs, and
having jobs. Well, these two had jobs. Man. Hey, these two were working animals. Okay, where is that? Let me get back over.
They are employable dogs.
Yeah, look, these two. It's like they were on the job with their shock collar. Was this both of them? Yeah. Even around loud noises, look how probably means calm I am. And they were in restaurants. See this too? This looks like on the left here. Can you see this?
Stupid these, yeah.
This looks like it looks like a patio area of a restaurant.
Look how calm I am. It's like, I mean, who added these bubbles, these captions? Probably, I don't know who did it. Probably the owners, right?
I don't know. I don't know, because this is on dogsbite.org. I don't know if Colleen added these or somebody else did, but look, because I'm wearing a shock collar. But that goes back to the whole service dog fraud issue. It's like they said the dogs are service dogs, and they're service dogs.
Yeah. And the whole shock collar thing, I get that, people really don't like dogs barking and all that. But that's not a solution to dogs.
Yeah.
The solution is not having them. Just because you put a shock collar on isn't going to change a goddamn thing. They still have knives in their mouths. They could still run freaking 20 miles an hour at you. Once they get a bark and then get it shocked, that's not going to stop them from attacking either. I mean, just because you have a shock collar on. I mean, what is that anyway?
They probably do. They get a jolt when they tear somebody's arm off. I don't think so.
Yeah, apparently they do. It's like those collars you get, those vicinity collars, where if they walk past a certain point, my son's grandparents have that on their little mutts outside, and they never let them indoors. They're just outside dogs. They live in a more rural area, but they have the collars on them, so if they go too far, they'll get shocked.
Oh,
so that teaches them not to go past a certain point. But I mean, what, like, what's the point of having them? I mean, I don't get it. You never see them. You just get dogs to let them roam around outside all the time. And
well, like, yeah, they gotta. Well, I guess it's a very
it's like deeply, getting fish. It's like, what is the point of having fish?
It's deeply ingrained in the culture. They gotta have their dog.
Yeah, it's almost normal not to have a dog these days. Or it's abnormal to not have a dog. You're not considered normal if you don't have a dog. It's weird.
Yeah, dog. Yeah, there's a lot of social pressure to have these things. I think a lot of it depends too, is that it kind of gets into, and this is a whole other topic. I don't know if I really want to get deep into this tonight, but dog owning demographics. In other words, what percentage of households in this country, at least, have one or more dogs?
80.
Nah, it's not that high. I mean,
I don't know, dude.
Last decade, when I did some due diligence on this, and it's really tough to get numbers because, like I said before, most of the statistics are shit. But the numbers I came up with, it was about 35 to 39% of households had one or more dogs. Sometimes, people come up with higher percentages. They say it's 60+% or whatever. But the thing is, they come up with those numbers. What they do is they take the number of dogs, whatever, it's 80 million, and divide it into the number of households, which gives you a number. It's like, I don't know. I don't have my calculator up, but it's 0.6 or whatever. But the thing is that most dog owning households have more than one dog. So they missed the last part of the equation is you divide it again by the number of dogs per home.
My dog needs a friend. I got to get another one. Yeah.
So, well, now, particularly now, because you have this like rescue craze going on. So you have every block has a rescue angel with 20+ dogs. But the thing is, somebody like that, like these people, if they got 20 pit bulls in the backyard and they adopt 5 more, it doesn't change the demographic, right? I mean, you've got more dogs in circulation, but no more dog owners. And that's what I find interesting, really, is the human demographic. And the other thing to consider too is with these households is some of the people in that home may not really like the dogs all that much. In other words, it might be a Tales from the Doghouse type scenario. So there's that to consider. But what I came up with, this was last decade, was about 35 to 39%. But that's nationwide. Obviously, it could vary by region. And sometimes, too, you got to watch out for frequency bias. In other words, you tend to...
I don't know. I think at least half. At least half own dogs or have dogs in their household, even if it's just one. I've seen it. I mean, it's everywhere. You walk 5 blocks down the street, there's dogs everywhere in the windows outside. I mean, there's more chain link. There's just as many chain link fences in backyards than there are streets. It's ridiculous. If you see a chain link fence in a house, they're dog owners. There's no reason to have chain link fences unless you have a dog. But
it's supposed to keep. It's not to keep things out; it's to keep something in.
Yeah, but it just tells me that there's dog owners right there. Even if you don't see them or hear them, they have dogs.
Well, I guess that's the other thing is, because when I walk around, I figured my neighborhood is about 40%, maybe 2 out of 5, give or take. But you're right. I mean, I guess, I don't know, being a stealth dog owner is very difficult to do.
Yeah, it is.
Given the nature of dogs, right?
Because they want to show them off too. They want to show off their mutts like a brand new car from the lot. Yeah.
Sure. That's why, you get into, a BSL should be like a pit bull ban, should be really easy to enforce, because keeping something like this a secret is very difficult to do. So I wanted to look, we're an hour and 15 minutes in. This was a good segment. I'm actually double recording this. I have a Skype recording going, and I also have OBS Studios recording. It'll see what I can work with or what produces a better results. Maybe we will just take a look at this. Maybe I'll do another one this weekend. We'll talk about this. I know I hate
Didn't even
dogs.
get into politics yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, segue into politics. Dog politics, and also the evolution of nuttery in our society, because that is a recurring theme, or the evolution of the dog cult. When did we reach the tipping point where everybody had to worship Fido like the furry Jesus? But the Miami pit bull ban is back in the news again, because this is been an epic political battle fought in Florida for the last 20 plus years. But it's an interesting situation, because this is an old ban. This is now 34 years old. So it's interesting to follow this, or how the dog cult has evolved kind of parallel to this. So we can delve into it. So this is how it came to be. So back in February 1989, 7-year-old girl, Melissa Moriera, was walking home after shopping when a neighbor's pit bull ran at her and leapt. The dog tore apart the girl's face, and armed as she screamed, it then savaged her grandmother before a neighbor shot it 4 times in the head. Now there's some gun control for you. So the animal left the girl in critical condition. She survived only after extensive reconstructive surgery to her face. So soon after the attack, Miami-Dade banned all pit bulls. It was probably the first countywide measure in the nation. So you realize this wasn't even a killing. This was one mauling, that didn't result in a death, and boom, banned all pit bulls. Mm-hmm. Now think about today. Right, like, bring the Tennessee case. It's like two kids were killed. It's like, So it's like it was just an accident, So it's probably the first such countywide measure in the nation. Since then, and this is what I want to get into also, thousands of the breed have been killed in a drab building near the Palmetto Expressway. In 2008, the county confiscated 802 pit bulls and euthanized more than 650. You wonder, though, too, is like this, were they killed because of the ban or just because of shelter overcrowding? Like, was the ban, because currently the ban's not enforced, and I have done blogs and vlogs about that. There's not only is the ban not enforced, currently, the city, the Miami-Dade Animal Services, is literally giving them away. Okay. Now it says, okay, neither Broward or Palm Beach has a ban, and dozens of dog owners have fled that racist fascist regime.
Oh.
So national animal groups have opposed the ban, which really isn't a ban anymore. Workers every month halt scores. Actually, when was this? Okay, this was written in 2009. So this is an old article. Okay, this is an old article. So halt scores of animals' hearts with an overdose of barbiturates and then cart them en masse out the back door. And this brings up, what's the best use for a dead pit bull? I mean, do they barbecue them? Do they compost them? Do they render them into biodiesel?
I don't see any good.
Anyway, this goes back to, where was I want to look at, was it ban pit bulls? This was I want to find like Miami pit bull ban. I should have brought this up before I started. Yeah, so, okay, this is, 6 hours ago. Well, pit bull ban in Miami end after 3 decades. There's an effort to change the law, but this has been going on the ban was enacted 34 years ago. And I think in the beginning it was pretty effective because, as they noted, pit bull owners would flee the jurisdiction to save their dogs. Dogs were rounded up and euthanized initially. Now I do not believe that's the case. Yeah, so, but that's the thing is, people are fighting to, and of course people are fighting to keep the ban, which is really no longer a ban. So like, yeah, here's a pit bull. I don't know if it's in Miami. Here's a pit bull in Miami out in the open. Look, he's got this prong collar on. I'm sure that's a nice, sweet lap dog they have there. So pit bull lovers of Miami, you may soon be able to own your dream dog legally and free of fines. So.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. So you can have these dogs. You can be like the whites. So, where are we? So, anyway, you could well, the thing is, that's the other interesting thing, too, people need to consider. And I've spoken of preemption laws. If we get dogsbite.org up, let's take a look at and we'll talk about what preemption is. Preemption map. Well, I spelled it wrong. We'll see what we come up with. Preemption map. Okay, so can you guys see this? This map of the U.S. So the orange states have preemption. What that means is that the state government has banned they basically banned breed-specific legislation of dogs. You can ban breeds of other animals, I guess. Like you can ban, I don't know if a tiger is really a breed of cat because they're not really bred, but so what that means is lower jurisdictions can't ban them. So you look at all these states. So you have Florida's a preemption state. So you think, well, how did Miami get their ban? Well, Miami banned them before the preemption laws were enacted, and they were able to grandfather in their ban and keep it. That was the deal, which makes me wonder. It's like, why do we endlessly litigate this stuff? It's like, look, part of the deal was in 1980 or 1990, I guess, when they passed the preemption law, was that, okay, jurisdictions with existing bans would be allowed to keep them. So why are these assholes basically going back on what they promised? They're essentially weaseling on the deal. It's like, okay, we got because that's what it was. We got your support for this law, provided there was grandfathering. but now we're taking away the grandfathering.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows you what just unmitigated scum these dog nutters are. It's funny that you talk about BSL. Most BSL arrangements allow for grandfathering, meaning that they're not going to go door to door and round up dogs. So if you have a pit bull, when the ban goes in effect, you can keep them. You can't get more pit bulls, but you get to keep the ones you have until they die. I will either get deleted by cops or die in a dog fight or whatever, right? But imagine if like we did that, we say, okay, we'll let you keep your dogs. And then after the ban is passed, we're like, you know what? We lied. We're killing your dog anyway, because that's what these assholes are doing. They're trying to, weasel on the grandfathering. There was some other, what else do we have on here? So, but what I find, so there's that to consider, right? Because you can't cut a deal or negotiate with these people. You can't, because nothing is ever settled. Let me go back one more page. We had bipartisan support. There was another one. Yeah, this was an interesting one also because they spoke to, I think I actually have that up, woman attacked by pit bull. And this was that little girl, the Melissa Morea. Again, she's, resisting the repeal, but really the ban has failed. And I could see, people saying it's like, okay, the ban has failed. Let's just get rid of it. It's like, okay, but the thing is that repealing the ban does not, by itself, does not address the problem that needed to be solved. Right? Like, why did they ban pit bulls in the first place? Because they're a bunch of intolerable, like, racists and Nazis. I mean, arguably, they banned pit bulls because of what happened to this little girl. We have, a dog, pet dogs attacking people and inflicting serious injury, and that needs to be mitigated. Right? That's a problem that needs to be solved. We don't want that. We want that to stop, or at least we want less of it. So it's passed it, they enacted these breed bans to, mitigate the problem. So there'd be less of that. Now, it turns out that that's not what happened, mainly because, essentially it's a failure to enforce. So there's still dog attacks, people being deleted by dogs within the jurisdiction. There's actually probably more pit bulls in circulation than before the ban. So you can say, yeah, okay, it didn't work, but that raises a couple of questions. Like, okay, why didn't it work? Like, where did it fail? Like, what went wrong?
Lawmakers are dog nutters.
Well, law enforcement. Law enforcement.
Yeah.
Well, probably the lawmakers too, because part of it is there's no enforcement, but even when there is, the penalties are not sufficient to disincentivize the activity, in my opinion, because it's just like with these other idiots that got the little girl killed. They didn't go to prison. But maybe if you started perp walking these people, folks might say, hey, maybe owning one of these things or 20 of them isn't such a great idea. But that's not what happened. I think with the Miami, what happened is that the penalty stipulated was if you had an illegal pit bull, you pay a $500 fine, which for, many people is really not a lot of money, and the dog gets deleted. So what do?
Buy another one.
Go out and get another one. You go to Broward or Palm Beach, and get another pit bull. And then, maybe because enforcement is so lax, maybe somebody will do something about it. I mean, really today they're not. So that's question number one. Sort of like, okay, why did it fail? Like, do a post-mortem on it. Why did we not get the result we wanted? Because a lot of it too is they're all looking at this from a complete dog-centric viewpoint. Well, the dogs are being put down. People can't get the breed of dog they want. But nobody's looking at it from the public safety standpoint. It's like, okay, the fail was that the number of pit bulls in circulation did not go down. Dog attacks did not lessen. There's more dog attacks, more serious dog attacks. Miami has had many dog bite related fatalities over the years, more than there were before the ban. And of course, and some of that's is due to an increase in population because you got more people, you got more dog people, right? But it's like, okay, why didn't we get the result we wanted? Why not? Why did it fail? And then you say, okay, maybe this is like a gun control fail or a drug prohibition fail. So it's like, okay, we're going to, experiment with legalization. But the thing is that repealing the ban doesn't do anything because you want to, provided you see the dog attacks are a problem, you want to mitigate the problem. So it's like, okay, forget about banning them, but what do you do instead? If BSL is not the answer, what is? What do we do? And I don't see
more regulations,
yeah.
More control, just more responsible people, more. How about mental health awareness? How about that? There's this whole thing, right? With
we'll have a blue ribbon commission, but you never see that. All they're saying was like, okay, the ban didn't work, so we're getting rid of it. But it's like, okay, what do we do instead? What's the alternative? Like, what's plan B? But that never comes up. They're just saying, okay, this ban is bad. It failed. We're getting rid of it. And that's it. We're just going to move on. And like ignore all the dog attack victims and other problems caused by these things?
It's accepted. It's like, I don't want to bring up, I don't know if you could put it on YouTube after I say this, but the school popping, what's going on with that? All that the media covers that so much, and they want to put fear into you with guns, but they never talk about the dogs. God damn it. How many kids are being mauled and killed by dogs? But they just
particularly those two kids in Tennessee. But it's like, okay, you know what? If the ban's not the answer. So there's two questions that never get asked or answered. One, why did it fail? And two, if the ban's not the answer, what is? But that's just never comes up. It's just like, well, it didn't work. We're getting rid of it. Everybody have a nice day.
Yeah, well, they're trying to push. They're trying to coerce people into vigilantism. Because you see people on YouTube doing the predator catching thing, and exposing people for trying to talk to underage people. Right? That's everywhere now. But I guess we got to do it with the dogs now, right? So.
Well, it's interesting you should say that because I always had the impression, particularly when you look at the inaction of authorities, because this is a problem that the government does not want to address. This is like a third rail. They just don't want to touch it. And it seems like, and this is an impression I have, I can't prove this, I don't really have any evidence, but I get the feeling or I intuit that what they want is they want for these situations to kind of work themselves out, right? So if you have a pack of murder mutts terrorizing a
lazy
neighborhood.
can you get? You know?
Yeah, but so for example, if you have a pack of murder mutts terrorizing a neighborhood, or the yard barker serenading the neighborhood, their preference would be that the problem just work itself out in some extra
civil matter. You guys do it, work it
well,
out on
it's
your own.
some, in some extra legal way, right? That somebody either, Rule 308 be put into effect, or special treats be laid out, or something like that. Because then that gets the authorities off the hook. They're like, "Whew, I don't have to deal with that anymore."
Yeah. Ugh. We're supposed to lay down xylitol tracks down in every area.
And I'm saying, it's like, again, always a disclaimer, not recommended, but it seems that that's the way the authorities want it to play out.
Mm-hmm.
That people just take matters into their own hands. That's my impression.
Yeah. I mean, you want to get farther into it, the old conspiracy of depopulation. It's
well, I don't know. Well,
it's a little,
yeah.
That's going really far into conspiracy.
Yeah, that's getting pretty deep into this. But what is this? What is going on here? So, Alien, you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I guess I have too many thoughts, so I'm not sure where to.
Yeah, well, it's really difficult. But seriously, though, it's very difficult to sort it all out because it's so incredibly screwed up. It really is, When you get into this illustrates why dogs, and really dogs only, are such a toxic, pervasive social and political issue, because you don't see anything remotely like this with other animals, right? I mean, ferrets are banned in California. Why don't ferrets? It's like ferrets. Huh. And I guess as you could argue, I mean, probably any domestic animal can cause a problem. Huh. But are packs of ferrets killing mail carriers? Is that why they got rid of them? Are neighborhoods drowning in ferret noise?
The dog building construction, it just keep building. It goes up and up. It's not going down. The attacks just keep getting more and more.
But yeah, what? There's something about this that I never really quite got my head around. I even had the thought at one point, I'm not a religious person, but seriously, I think if the devil himself were behind this, it would not surprise me. Because I think there's something very deeply wicked about it. That all this stuff, and not just, pet sitters being deleted by pit bulls. That's at the tip of the iceberg. But it seems that this whole situation is there's some kind of intelligent design here, designed with the intention to inflict as much pain, suffering, anguish, loss as possible. Not just emotional, even economic losses. It's just designed to cause, because really, I guess not a lot of people die outright directly because of this, but you think of all the lives that are, if not ruined, at least negatively impacted.
Altered in a negative way.
Altered in a negative way by
how society
dogs
puts them
in
on a pedestal
society.
is
And I don't necessarily blame the animals themselves at all, because it's people, right? Every one of these outcomes was enabled by a two-legged varmint. Not that gets a dog off the hook. I mean, more than one thing can be true at a time, but there's something deeply pernicious about this. It seems designed to cause, like I said, cause as much, pain, suffering, anguish and loss as possible.
Yeah, a metaphor. You talk about religion. You go back to Adam and Eve, and Eve ate the apple. Adam got a dog too. Or some shit. It's like it's a metaphor. It's the beginning of evil. As soon as we created these fucking things.
I guess the thing is that these, for example, like pit bulls were created for a reason. To do a job that no longer exists. But yes, they're kept around because they've been, elevated to, the status of sacred animal.
Yeah, they were employed to do a job. Now they're retired being companions.
Yeah.
Mauling kids.
Mauling kids.
A mishap, an accident, a tragedy. But now, 2023, we got all this stuff in the news. You look out your window, you see a potential attack to a child with small, like IHG said, small women getting big dogs. I see that every day. Old ladies with little dogs or whatever. I don't. It's like, what are you trying to replace here?
That was interesting too. I mean, that kind of maybe gets off what we were just talking about. But these people that get these dogs, these animals, they can't control. They can't control them.
No.
So the dog's just going to do whatever it wants. But yet that's seen as, it's not just tolerable, it's actually seen as as virtuous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's seen as a a good thing to do.
I think what's going on is there's a trend toward more tender-mindedness that's been happening over the past decades. I guess we haven't had a major war like World War II in a while, and I think people had steeled themselves quite a bit. World War I, and then the Depression, and then World War II. Death was just a normal thing for people, and they accepted reality more than people do now.
Yeah.
People are less accepting of reality, and there's the nature-nurture argument, and they're jumping on the nature-nurture bandwagon to say that that there's zero nature involved in bad dog behavior, and it's all nurture. And
speaking of War II, the Vietnam War made a bunch of hippies, free-loving shit. Everyone smoking pot, not giving a shit, because that's what I smoked weed for a while, right? And I didn't care. I heard dogs barking out there. I saw big, vicious animals. I was like, oh, because I was fucking stoned, right? But
that's what it is.
You know what's behind
this? You know what's behind this? It's a legalization of marijuana. But in any case, anyway, go on, proceed. This is good stuff.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, where was I? Let's see.
World War II.
Well, the first half of the 20th century was really rough on people. Actually, I mean, really, the human condition had always been rough until after World War II, like the 50s.
Yeah, life is so easy now. People go to pieces at the smallest things. You see this with young parents. It's always been the case throughout history that parents will lose a child, a miscarriage. Miscarriages happened all the time, and they when they happen now, the parents just go to pieces. That's one example. People are very susceptible now to tender-minded advertising, and like we were talking about, the two big chocolate companies. Mars and Nestle both happen to buy big dog food concerns, and so now they're major dog food companies, and they're trying to get the kids to get their parents to buy pets, and some married couples are deciding not to have children and just get the dogs as a way of replacing babies. So there's
Yeah,
this
I'm not gonna have a baby in case I have a miscarriage. Let me just get a dog, you know.
Yeah.
Let me replace
Well, yeah.
a future child that I could have, and let me just get a dog. It's laziness, it's selfishness, it's depopulation.
But here's the thing, though. I mean, I agree with everything you just said, but why a dog?
Yeah.
Like, because there's other animals, like, well, I mean, people, you could get cats. I mean,
Yeah, there's the crazy cat.
A cat is a pretty innocuous creature. There's other animals too. There's like I was looking up. I stumbled over some a while back. Have you ever heard? I can't know how to pronounce it. It's capybara, I think. It's the largest rodent in the world. It's like the size of like a Labrador, but it's like a giant guinea pig. You know, and they're basically harmless. You know, it's like, yeah, it's not gonna bark you out of your house. It's not gonna maul the pizza delivery guy to death, right? So why not push that? You know, why not everybody have one of those? Like, because again, why not? Because again, they're pushing this, and you know, Fido's in a category by himself,
Right.
Right. I mean, he's one of the few animals that really projects aggression towards people. There's a noise pollution issue.
Yeah. There's a lot of cat owners out there. I think probably just as many dog owners, right? But you don't see cats in the news. You don't hear about cats mauling kids, you know, and dogs are the problem. I mean, they are pushed out in the media for a reason because it happens every damn day.
I don't know. Maybe they push them to try to, but it's like, why, you know, if it's just an issue of, they want to replace kids or they want to increase consumption. Why a dog? I think I kind of know the answer. It's sort of a rhetorical.
It makes the most money, you know.
I mean, does it? I don't know. I mean,
the dog food. Yeah, the dogs, of course, consume way more food than cats do.
Oh yeah.
That's a big chunk of the pet ownership cost is the cost of the food.
Yeah.
Then there's the vet bills.
And I think that dogs are probably way more likely to, you know, injure themselves or get sick because they're way more likely to eat something that'll make them sick or poison them or get, you know, injured. You know, they're fighting. You know, because like I said, dogs are very aggressive, you know, so they get into fights, run in the road and get hit by cars, you know, injure themselves in various ways. It's kind of like the whole, you know, all the chef mutt meat tropes, you know, dogs getting deleted, you know, dogs, they attack wildlife and get deleted, that kind of or injured, you know.
Dogs are obsessed with putting things in their mouth, anything and everything.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah,
including children. God damn it, you know,
babies, you know,
and elderly people, anything. Rocks, remember that? Yeah. You don't see a cat eating rocks.
No. Yeah, well, so I guess that's a kind of thing too. Yeah, that's part of it because they really do consume, relatively speaking, a lot of resources.
And one of the Reddits I hang out on is what car should I buy? And there's always these people who say, "Oh, I have these 2 giant dogs also." So you know, you have to spend all of this extra money oversizing your vehicle so you can haul your dogs around with you. People don't consider the huge costs, I don't think, when they're paying their $25 pet adoption fee.
Yeah, they don't.
The discount price.
Right. Yeah, I mean, dogs are used. I mean, you might occasionally see another animal in an advertisement, but it seems like dogs pretty much, you know, it's the same thing. It's always dogs, right? Used exclusively to market products. Like, you know, Subaru had that ad campaign for a long time where they were dog approved.
Yep, Subaru.
So it wasn't,
yeah,
you weren't just getting
Amazon.
the car like as a necessity, but you should buy one of these because Fido likes them.
Yeah, anything that doesn't have to do anything. I mean, there could be a paper towel commercial, I guess, and yeah, they clean up the dog, But paper towel commercials, you just see someone spilling a drink on the table, and there could be a dog right there. You could put in a commercial for anything and put a dog in it, and it's going to make people buy it more just because there's
Yeah.
dogs in it. Because I think
Yeah.
over half the population
Yeah,
own dogs.
there's
and
a
they love
lot
them.
of that. Yeah. And as a thought, here's another thought I just had too, is dogs are very destructive, like shredding. Who put up the thing in the Discord the other day where the dog ate somebody's passport? Was that on the Discord? I don't know if one of you
that was on the
two
Discord. That was
put it up.
hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but yeah, there's costs involved, even just replacing that. But dogs eating shoes, destroying furniture, putting holes in walls,
Eating cars.
eating cars. Yep,
Shitting in the
hauling
suitcase
cars.
or something like that
Yeah.
too. I
Well,
saw
because
that.
you get all the extra like cleaning products and things like that. So yeah, it does. It's broken window fallacy, I guess, but that does keep the money circulating because if the dog eats your shoes, what do? You're going to take the dog to the vet and have its stomach pumped or whatever, and you got to buy a new pair of shoes.
Just keeps going on and on.
And it just it just keeps going on.
Circle.
So, maybe. So I guess, the economic, I guess, incentives are probably bigger than is like immediately obvious. So it's not just dog food. It's all these, even things that really aren't necessarily dog related, like people buying bigger cars, people replacing damaged property, healthcare costs, right? It keeps a whole medical and, a million people a year getting, treated for dog bites. It keeps the medical industrial complex going.
Yeah, and it's even subconsciously trying to trick people into dogs because you watch a movie, as soon as someone in the movie steps outside, you hear dogs in the background. They always have to add that barking dog in the background.
The bark track, yeah.
Yeah.
The Dump Dogs guy did a thing on that. I actually too, is since I've gotten into this space and I've become, hyper vigilant, I picked up on that. It's like, so many TV shows. The funny thing is, you only hear it when somebody is at home, right? Like you watch a show like, I don't know, I started watching Designated Survivor fairly recently. I didn't really get into it, but even I think on that show, well, the funny interesting thing is that first family doesn't have a dog, but sometimes you'll hear like dogs barking, like if they're in if somebody's in a neighborhood or something. And you hear it a lot in other shows. Like if your typical suburban neighborhood, I guess it's considered normal that for it to sound like a dog kennel at feeding time all the time.
Yeah, and it could be, you remember the movie The Burbs with Tom Hanks? Remember that?
Oh, I saw it a long time ago.
Yeah, I watched it recently, and I was like, oh, damn. When I was a kid, I never picked up on it, but now if you watch it, the whole time through is just dogs barking in the background. Just a single layer dog barking track through the whole movie.
Jeez.
That's interesting because that was back in '89, and the problem is definitely worse now.
Yeah, well, I think it's worse. It's worse in the sense that I think in the public policy space, it's way worse. Like looking at, for example, like the Miami pit bull ban, and even the whole rescue thing. But it seemed like, perhaps in popular culture, it was pretty bad even then, I guess.
Can we shift to a slightly different topic?
Sure.
Maybe on the topic of dog recordings, because I did you see the proposal I put forth on the Discord? I said if police are saying that one of the best uses of police dogs is to get suspects to give up, when they're, when you threaten to rip them to shreds with a police dog,
right.
they tend to give up instead of
Instead of fighting,
and manhandle them. Well, why not just play a recording of a police dog?
Yeah, just get a
and say, hey, we got this dog here and we're going to rip you to shreds if you don't give up.
Yeah. Well, I think they probably have to see them. It's kind of like using a gun as a deterrent. It's like, I got a gun. It's like, oh, really? Like, do you? I guess you just play the recording of the dog bark.
I think at night, a lot of times people don't see the dog.
Yeah.
But they can definitely hear it because,
especially if they're hiding in bushes, or something.
Yeah. Have you seen those body cam videos where the dog's just going nuts, going?
Yep. They're like, okay. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Dog on you. all right.
Yeah, so I'm serious. Why not just play a recording? I mean, it would save so much money, and there'd be no liability.
I think it would work.
Yeah, but that takes the fun out of it. I think they actually want to see these people injured.
Oh, yeah.
I think many cops use dogs the same way that many other people use dogs. They want to, they can, injure somebody and get away with it.
Antagonize and intimidate.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but literally dismember people. But a lot of it too is, they're dog nuts too. They don't want a recording of a dog. They got to have their dog.
Yeah. They got to have that companionship.
Yeah. And police dogs are, it's part of the whole circular, mutt propaganda, this endless loop of mutt propaganda, because a lot of it is circular, circular reasoning. Will they use it for police dogs or service dogs? Because they'll say, oh, dogs are great. They're the most wonderful thing on earth. Nothing's better than a dog. And you say, well, really, how so? And I say, well, they get used as service dogs. They're used to help blind people and the like. Well, then you say, okay, well, why are dogs used as service dogs? Right? Because they they're really good at those tasks. And then they say, oh, well, they use as service dogs because they're great. Right? So they just circled back to the original premise. So it's all self-support. Same thing with police dogs and probably military dogs too. Right. So it's sort of used to sort of prop the whole thing up. Right. This whole mutt narrative. But we should suggest that though. Right. Yeah. And see what they say.
Yeah, use military dogs, right? If you see, I saw this movie, right? There's a dead body, but they called it a dead body bomb. Just use the dog to go over there. They could use robots or just get the dog over there and see if it blows up. If the dog blows up with it, who cares? It did its job. Well, yeah, that was a dead body bomb. All right.
Yeah, as far as
no loss of human life.
Yeah, as far as sniffers, there were a couple of companies working on that back in the 1990s when during the .com bubble. One of the companies was Cyrano Sciences, as in Cyrano de Bergerac. So the Cyrano's device was supposed to be able to smell things like a dog can, cadavers and drugs and things. But I guess they couldn't get it working. But eventually they're going to crack that code, and then that will be another thing that you don't need dogs for.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another, data processing problem to solve. Because when you smell something, what are you doing? You're just sensing, chemicals in the air, right?
Yeah.
That's all you're doing, right? It's like when you see something, if you look at a poster, what you're doing, you're just interpreting those photons bouncing off whatever it is, right? So, a scent or sound, right? Your brain is interpreting the sound energy. So, and scent is the same kind of thing. I mean, yeah, that's a technical problem they should be able to solve. And not only that, because again, the problem with a dog is dogs have their sense of smell is 5 million times better than ours or whatever. But the thing is that the dog can't really doesn't have the judgment or the intelligence to really process the information. So because I vlogged about this too, when a sniffer dog is triggered, right, when it senses something, all it's being conveyed is that the dog smells something interesting.
Right.
So it could be, you know, a bomb. It could be, you know, Semtex.
Another dog.
Or it could be like maybe there's a cat turd in the guy's pocket.
Yeah.
You don't know, because all you know is that the dog is. Yeah. All you know is that the dog reacted to something that it found interesting. But you know, but an electronic device could say, okay, it's just like testing, you know, even you know, bodily fluids or water or sampling air. You know, it's sampling the air and saying, okay, I found a few molecules of Semtex, right? So you know, it's like bingo. It's like a metal detector. You know what you found, right? So they, okay, there's a bomb here, or there's illegal drugs here, or some other.
Telling me we can create self-driving cars, even though they fail a lot, but we can't create self-bomb sniffing robots. Yeah, we can't. We don't need dog.
Part of it is like
riding a dog like a horse.
I think it goes back to the economic. It goes back to the economic incentives. You know, maybe an electronic sniffer just doesn't pay enough dividends economically. But yeah, I think it would be way more effective, because not only it would be way more accurate, and not only that, but you'd actually know what's been detected. You don't just have a dog, you know, barking or however it alerts, right? Maybe it's just barking just to bark.
Yeah, I've seen police videos, like body cam videos, and the dog is in the cruiser, the cop's car, right? And it could be just a simple DUI thing, right? And the dog is freaking out. You hear in the background, roar, 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 roar. It's like, what? Okay, so what? what is it discovering in the back of the cop car right now? Why is it freaking out like that? The cop's got weed on him. What's going on?
It saw a nice, tasty toddler and wanted to eat.
And yeah, of course, you're going to get your anti-artificial intelligent, you know, crowd going up against it, you know.
Well, but that thing, it's like the problem with, like, say, self-driving cars is that, you know, I mean, driving a car, you know, or heavy any traffic really requires constant judgments.
Yeah, human.
And computers don't make judgments. You just have a processor processing instructions. But the thing is, like with a sniffer, that's a much different dynamic. Again, right. All you're doing is you're just detecting chemicals in the air.
Yeah, you can easily program AI.
That's it. You know, you can. It doesn't even need to be an artificial intelligence program. You know, you're just looking for. You're just processing data essentially.
I think it does, but it doesn't require what people are calling now AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. But the frontal lobes of humans and dogs is the processing center where you're figuring out what a scent is. But and it's 10 times the size in a dog. But what's going on there, I think, in these various specialized parts of the brain, is what these processors really are, is they're factor analysis machines. And so that's kind of a tangent. It's kind of that's high level math, but it's factor analyzing. Is what it's doing, and what that means is it's looking for latent signals. That's what you're doing when you want to find a molecule of something in a scent. You want to be factor analyzing to find that.
Yeah, which dogs can't do.
Yeah. Well, dogs are doing it. Dogs are factor analyzing the scent using their frontal lobes, but yeah, they don't have much intelligence, general intelligence behind that to figure out what to do with the information.
Right, right, exactly. Yep, yeah. So they know it smells interesting, but they don't really know. And again, of course, too, is they can detect, like, yeah, it's something, you know, interesting, but it's interesting to them, but is it interesting too as part of a law enforcement activity? or search and rescue. I've said before, like this Fido understanding implications of somebody taking a bomb onto an airplane. Do they even know what a bomb is?
And say bomb on YouTube.
Yeah, but I mean too is like, I mean, yeah, I mean, sure, he can think that the Semtex smells interesting, but he also thinks that, you know, cat turds and peanut butter sandwiches smell interesting.
Yeah. I mean, how do they train these dogs in the facilities that they train them in? You know, just the canine unit, you know, where do they have a room full of weed? They have a room full of coke, a room full of Syntex, you know, like, and then they what? Compare it to what?
On that, but you know, the dog, they go off training all the time. I mean, you look at like a lot of these.
I'd love to see how they do it. I have yet to see how exactly they do it.
Well, I saw a blog that time. You know, there's evidence submitted to the Supreme Court. It was in Florida v. Harris that the sniffer dogs were wrong up to 80% of the time.
Yep.
There was evidence submitted to the Supreme Court, and you've got false positives and false negatives.
Yeah, so what's the point?
Yeah. Anyway, we're getting up on past 2 hours here, guys.
Ooh, that went by quick.
Yeah, it was fun. We'll see how this Skype thing works out. Actually, I have 2 recordings running right now because I have the Skype recording it, and I also have my OBS Studio recording in the background. I want to do a little editing on this one because there was my choking fit at about an hour or so, but I think I might lop that out of there.
Everybody swallows water wrong sometimes.
Yeah. Well, the problem is I'm drinking and I'm trying to talk at the same time. I got to keep my mouth shut. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I think I am going to close it out. So anyway, thanks for joining. Alien, it's always good having you on. It seems like your input's always appreciated. I'm sorry I didn't get to talk more, but maybe next time.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. All right, man. All right. So anyway, I'll wrap it up. Again, this is Animal Uncontrol. And as always, dog bless America. I mean, people first.
Yeah. Later, guys.